Man, I love this. I love South Texas.
The Kansas City Royals select Blake Mitchell.
Corpus Christi John Paul II are the state champions.
South Texas, we're super proud of the baseball, and it's only going to get better.
How about that introduction, though, Hunter? First of all, welcome back to Corpus Christi.
Wow, thank you so much, and it's great to see everyone, the energy and the memory lane coming back to Corpus Christi, but that is such a special touch, and I really can't believe you got Dave Clark. I mean, this guy was one of the most amazing humans to play for, and obviously you saw what he led us to here back in 2006. The championship that we won here in Corpus, and there's no doubt that we would have been able to do it without him. He was one of the hardest working head coaches you would ever see in the minor leagues. Every bus ride, he would bring us up to the front and teach us just amazing wisdom of a 14-year career. And I got the privilege to play with him in Houston as well, and just a special, special human. So that one, it got me a little emotional, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and it's great because I know that you've connected with so many people along the way, so many managers along the way. I mean, some of the guys that you work with, star-studded cast. It's just nice to be able to share a space with those guys.
Absolutely, and the fact that however many years later, I'm not a mathematician here, 2006 to 2025, so almost 20 years. Ridiculous that he's still doing what he's doing. He still looks young as ever, and we all knew he would take us down if we got out of line. There's no doubt. He was a
former boxer.
boxer.
He doesn't mess around.
Oh yeah, Dave Clark was the best. I'm glad he's back here in Houston.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about 2006 and the Texas League title season. A lot of great things happened that year. You, of course, had a banner year. 28 home runs. It still stands as the Hooks' single-season record, most home runs in a single campaign. I know it's been a long time, but what stands out about that season for you, that 2006 campaign? If you had to put one thing on it, whether it was about your development as a player or about the atmosphere of the team, what stands out?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's not just one thing that stands out. I think my memories of being in Corpus and the energy and the electricity of the stadium every night. I think you got to give a big shout out to Reed Ryan, Nolan Ryan, and the Ryan Sanders family, and how they treated us as players. It was first class through and through, and you felt that as a player, like you were taken care of, and the fans made you feel like a superstar. And you're just a young guy in AA that's kind of growing up, and to have a sold out place and ownership that's in the dugout, in the locker room, talking to you, and everyone that they surrounded it with, the support, it was elite, and we knew that and we recognized it. But I think what Dave said right there, the development of me as a human and realizing the success you can have is not individual in baseball. I think it's one of the best lessons that you learn as a baseball player, as a business owner, as a man in the community and a family, is that it takes all parts, and it takes everyone leaning on each other and being accountable for their part, but also relying on each other and being there to pick the other one up, knowing that they'll pick you up if you miss out. And I learned that really big from the top down here. Nolan Ryan would come down and read Big Tex, and he would talk to us. And this is, Hall of Fame Nolan Ryan, and we're the AA players. And when he comes and he speaks to you and he shares his wisdom with you, it hits you in your heart, and you carry that the rest of the way. So from the city, from the ownership, all the way down, it gave me such a jolt to my career and who I was as a young man.
Going back to the championship game that Clarkie alluded to, 5 hours, 14 innings. Wade Robinson, who had the game-winning hit in the 14th, he entered in the 9th and ended up going 3 for 3 as a defensive replacement. I think it was the only hits he had during the postseason for that championship game. You had a triple play late in that game, started by Josh Bonifay, robbing Alex Gordon. But what really stands out were the fans. I mean, 8,394 fans at that ball game. And in the minor leagues, the playoffs, it's tough to get a big crowd because you have a late notice, tough to get groups out there. But looking back at the footage, you guys won the title at midnight, and the place was still packed. What was that particular ball game like, Hunter?
Wow, I have a lot of stories about this particular ball game. We're going to go way back in time, so I got to share a couple of these. But first and foremost, the connection with that team in this city was, and the fans was something special. It's hard to duplicate that, and obviously there's some shots there, but I don't even know why we got the opportunity to do this. But we're pouring champagne on the fans after the 14 innings, and just like the high fives and the celebration was electric. It was elite. I'll never forget those memories, and I don't know how we pulled that off, but you guys were awesome for letting us go a little crazy. It was earned, though. Y'all know the Texas heat. It's cold right now, but it takes some toughness to go through a summer here in Corpus, and every single one of you, I know y'all are built a little different. There's no doubt about that. And, I was a Texas kid growing up, so I love the heat, and I just remember jumping in the pool from time to time. It was really nice that y'all added that to the ballpark. But this particular game, and Wade Davis, you have to hear this. He had a cruise scheduled like the next day. And he was like, we have to win this game. I have like thousands of dollars. I'm going to miss this cruise. He was stressing it out. And we were like, Wade, man, why didn't you expect us to win this whole thing? Come on, my guy. He's like, well, we're going to wrap it up tonight, right? So he had his whole family cruise, and I think his wife or partner at the time, they were missing that boat. So he had a little extra incentive to go 3 for 3, and we were so thankful for him stepping up and clutching up under the most elite pressure. And what a way to walk it off. And he was so relieved, and it was pretty funny, but it's a memory of a lifetime, and luckily he got that vacation.
Well, it kind of went down into Hooks lore that you had a chance to play for Team USA instead of playing for the Hooks in the playoffs. You elected to remain with the Hooks to try and win a Texas League title. Can you tell us how that came about and your reaction at the time and what made you want to stay with the Hooks?
Yeah, and it was a tough decision, I'm not going to lie, because obviously I love our country and it is a great honor to put on the USA. But we had a bond. We had forged a bond, that group, and it meant the world to us. We really cared about winning. We cared about winning a championship and playing together. And I went back and forth several times. I was like, man, Team USA, and I love our country, and what an honor. But I was like, if I leave, I'm not going to get to be here for the playoffs. And we had set a goal, and I'm kind of a man that once I set a goal, I want to see it through. And I was like, it might not be best for my career, but I can't tell my brothers that we're out here through thick and thin. And I remember Kevin Davidson, I threw a ball, and there was a linebacker for the San Antonio Missions at the time. He was a linebacker in college, and he was at second. And I throw this ball in, and I'm trying to make this decision, and we're in this really heated game. And Kevin Davidson catches this ball and gets absolutely plowed. This is back when you can run people over. I think it actually kind of ruined his career, but he sold out for that pitcher. He sold out for the game. And I remember I picked him up. He was like maybe unconscious, probably not the best thing to do, waking him up. Dizzle! We called him Dizzle, Kevin Davidson. Dizzle! Way to go! And I was like, there's no way I'm leaving. I mean, my man's putting his life on the line right there, and his knee was blown out, and he continued to play through it. But I never doubt that was the decision. That was the right decision to be made, and the opportunity to go and chase a championship. I didn't know if I was ever going to make it past AA. You don't know that. But we were thankful to have the opportunity to play AA baseball. And when our thing was, when our cleats hit the ground, we burn it to the ground. And I never forgot that sentiment.
Absolutely, and I think it starts with Dave Clark and some of the veteran guys on that team and the synergy, and when everybody's pulling in the same direction, that there's no better feeling. And you're one of those guys that really rallies your teammates. You do a great job of doing that. It's earned you a few nicknames over the years. One of the nicknames that you had while in Corpus Christi, Bam Bam, and in fact, you knocked out a window of one of the big cotton presses out beyond the left field fence. They didn't replace that window. They left a couple of shards up there. And I don't know if we can say shards at the banquet, but they put the Bam Bam sign there. How'd you get the nickname Bam Bam?
Yeah, well, I'm sure how many of y'all have seen me play before? Have you seen my swing? It's not normal. It's a little bit awkward. I was known for kind of weirdness, and I'm just not that flexible. I had to kind of figure out with what God gave me. And I remember when I first was drafted, I was like the Astros' first pick. It was in the second round, and my pants didn't fit, my shirt was too big, and I was like taking my warm-up swing, which looks like a terrible knockdown 7-iron, and I couldn't play until I had a physical. And they're like, "What the heck did we just draft?" And I'm choked up on the bat, and I'm swinging as hard as I can. And just one of the teammates, I think it was Mario. I can't.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long, yeah. It was either Kevin Davidson or Mario, but he was like, "Man, you look like just Bam Bam. You're just up there with a bat. You're a baby. You're swinging as hard as you can." So they started calling me Bam Bam from then on. And obviously the window was a real thing that got broken, but the wind was blowing out really hard. It wasn't like I did anything special. It was just the right day and the right ball. And, the old saying was our pitching coach at the time would say, "He hates the baseball. He hits that one as far as he can and wants to hit the next one farther." So it was the old Mickey Mantle, swing hard in case you hit it. And I wasn't very flexible, and everything I did looked awkward, but I was fascinated with the game, and I loved going as hard as I could. That was my MO.
After winning a Texas League title with the Hooks in 06, a couple 3 weeks in AAA at Round Rock, and then on to the big leagues, April 28th against Milwaukee at Minute Maid Park. What do you recall about that game, if anything? And I know a lot of stuff's happening, but what about the call-up and learning that you were going to the big leagues? Do you mind telling us that story?
Yeah, I mean, I remember both of them. You never forget that. It's a life-changing moment, and I remember being in AAA and being excited to have another opportunity. And our goal every year was just to win a championship wherever we were. And I was like, we were in this really tight game. I remember Josh Anderson was up to bat, and I was like in the hole. And I was like, if I come up to bat, I'm the go-ahead run. So I was like super hyper locked in, like, here we go. And I'm locked in with Josh, and he pops out, and it happens, and we lose the game. And we wore that really hard. We were taught that by a lot of the Astros organization. I think a lot of organizations actually mess this up, where they want to develop, and we're like, hey, you're just going to work on your changeup, and you're only going to throw so many innings. When we came up in the Astros organization, they were like, when you win, you work your way to the top, and we want winners in the big leagues. If you can win down below, you can win up here, and we want players to find a way to win. So I loved that. It was like everything that I cared for. My only goal in baseball was to win as many championships as I could. That was the ultimate team accomplishment. You do it. You can only do it together. So we made that last out, and I was just really down. I remember Jackie Moore, who was just an amazing human, our AAA manager at the time. He looked over me with a smile, and I was like, what the heck is he smiling for? There's nothing to smile about. And he said, son, you're headed to the big leagues. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not too tough to admit it. I started balling, and like the memories of all the sacrifices that I made. And to each of you young players out here, I know y'all probably understand this, but you got to do more than anyone else. And I'll give you the first memory that hit me is I remember coming home from summer baseball, where a lot of players are complaining in college they want to go have a summer, and I was so thankful. I was sitting on a couch at a host family's house in Liberal, Kansas, and we'd get back at 2 a.m, and I would go to the weight room because I was not going to miss a lift. And I remember looking in the mirror and looking at myself, and I was like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be the best player on the field, and nobody else is as dedicated as me. I don't care what time it is. And I know the sacrifices that my dad made, that my mom made, and I never did it alone, but I also knew that I was determined, and no one was going to do more than me. And so I just started balling, and no one's going to love the game, and no one's going to come with the attitude that wherever I'm at, that's where I'm in love with. And just all of the advice I got, all the people that drove me for hours and hours, and all of that for that moment. I couldn't wait to call my dad, my mom, and also thank every one of my teammates there. So that was the ultimate feeling and a dream come true.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, no doubt. First major league home run, a grand slam. I mean, is that a harbinger or come on?
I mean, we were up like 10-0 on the Cardinals at the time, so I don't know if it actually counted, because only homers that like helped change the game. It was like.
Wow, how about that?
I mean, I guess it is in the record books, but it was like, did you win the game or did you not? And that was my mindset. But it was nice to get a home run, and every single hit in the big leagues was very special and a lot to learn. So yeah, Grand Slam, it is pretty cool. And I do remember Phil Garner at the time. I'm not sure how many of you guys remember old Iron Scrap. A couple of you. Okay. Well, he was a very special manager. He had quite the aura. He rolled into Minute Maid Park on a Harley Davidson, just revving that engine. It was straight. It was really intense, and it was awesome. I remember when I hit it. It was like 14 to something at the time. He was like, hell yeah, put every run on them you can. I love beating the Cardinals. And I figured out that rivalry was pretty special. Obviously, the Astros are now American League. It's a little bit different. But back then, the Cardinals and the Astros had some heated moments in the playoffs and some good battles. They were definitely the rival in my heart the rest of my career, wherever I was. I respected them, but I loved to beat them.
Yeah, no doubt. No love lost between those two clubs back in the day. You kind of alluded to it, wanting to be a championship player, wanting to win championships, having that be the ultimate goal. From the Hooks in 06, the 2 World Series titles with the Giants. What was it about those clubs? I realize you need to have talent, but what else when you walk into those clubhouses saying, you know what, we got something here?
Yeah, it is easy to kind of reflect on all the years, and I was a part of like some bad teams too. I was a part of, honestly, one year I was with the Astros, and halfway through when I was traded in 2011, we were on the path to lose 100 games, and I got traded to the Phillies, who won 100 games. So in the same year, I was on a team that lost 100 games and a team that won 100 games. And you can reflect on all these years, and there's a lot of threads that are very similar to winning teams and losing teams. And not necessarily that there's bad players on these 100 lost teams. There's a couple Hall of Famers. Jose Altuve, who's going to be a future Hall of Famer. There's J.D. Martinez. These are people that are on 100 lost teams, and they're learning their way. They're learning their path. These are World Series champions. There's a confidence. There's a belief. There's a determination, more so than talent. The most talented team I was ever on, not even a question, was the 2011 Phillies. And nothing against that we didn't make it happen. It wasn't maybe meant to be. But the 2 teams that I won the World Series with and the Corpus Christi Hooks, let me tell you right now, when the team we beat in Corpus Christi in 2006 on the opposing team was Zach Greinke, Alex Gordon. They had a much more talented team than us. There's no doubt. I don't think you can even really name a pitcher that was massive in the major leagues on our team, but we were a tight-knit group, and we were determined, and there was a will to fight for each other amongst all those teams. And I know with the Giants and Ryan Vogelsong and Bum and Buster and Pablo and Tim, we were all very different personalities, but we had this grit and determination and willingness to fight for each other, and a will. I think, what is your will and whatever your dream is? How deep is your drive and your deteration, and how easy will you give up if it gets hard? Because there wasn't a single one of those teams that we were like, you're going to win the World Series. We were like probably chosen to lose every single series in the playoffs. We were the team that was like, you're out. But the players, we were like, we don't care what people say. We don't want the game to be over. We want the hardest challenge, and we want to earn it in between the lines, and we will not be told that you are better than us. You're going to have to prove it. And that, to me, that heart is what was felt in a very big way on all 3 of those teams.
And one of the monikers for your campaign in the big leagues is just a gamer, showing up every day, no less than 154 games in each of your first 7 full seasons in the big leagues, and then your first 2 years with the Giants, you played all 162 each of those years with San Francisco. What does it take to play every day in the major leagues?
Discipline for sure, luck as well, because there's going to be a lot of things that happen where all of a sudden you just can't move your arm because you dove for one ball and landed wrong, or one ball you get hit and you just break your arm. So it takes a little bit of luck, but a lot of discipline. You have to get your sleep. You have to eat right. You have to be there early to do whatever it is to get your body ready each day. And I'll never forget just the Cal Ripken quote. And I remember telling this to Michael Bourne. Me and Erstad were having a conversation with him. But Cal Ripken wrote in his book, he said, because he did the craziest Ironman of all time. It's insane what he was able to accomplish. But he said, on those days I wake up and I don't feel good, I would look in the mirror and say, tonight is an opportunity to play Major League Baseball, and you have an opportunity to do something that's never been done before. History can be made, and there's things that you'll see on the field every day that no matter how long you've been watching, you've never seen before. And I never forgot that Cal Ripken could look in the mirror when things were really, really hurt, and he could just say, I could do something special. And I remember Bourne was coming out of the lineup because his ankle was a little busted up. And Bourne was a heck of a competitor. He wanted to play every day, and like speed he knew was his weapon. But we're like, Bourne, you're our guy. Like, we know your ankle's hurt, but get in there, because they don't know that. Like, you get on first base with a walk or something, they're going to throw some more fastballs to number 2 hill hitter, who was probably Keppinger. And I remember he went back in, he said, I'm going to battle through this ankle. And that game, he hit a 2-run homer in like his second at bat, and we won 2-1. And it's like, you don't know. Sometimes you're your best when you don't feel your best, because then you slow down and you lock in your focus. And for me, I let what Cal Ripken said, go to heart. Those days that I really felt like I could barely move, and a lot of times, those were the days I played my best. And same, we saw it from Bourne as well.
In terms of strength and conditioning, mindfulness, where did that priority begin for you? In terms of your development, going from a high school kid playing at UTA, coached by Scott Malone, to those bus trips in the minors. Where did you say, I need to really take care of this, take care of my body, and be able to mentally and physically post every day?
It's intrinsic, and I would recommend it just came from within, a genuine love of the game and a genuine love of competition. And for me, I made a decision when I was a junior in high school. I remember it's like, what do you that's like that time you're deciding what you want to do in life, what really drives you. And I was like, you know what? I have no idea how far I can go. I have no idea, but I love baseball. I'm a baseball lifer, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to play as long as I can. And I think it's just a soul decision. And if I really want to do that, and I've made this decision, I got to look at, how do I get as strong as I can? How do I get as fast as I can? And I remember as I started adding on and just questioning these things, and not really being like, I have to be somewhere I'm not. Like, I'm in junior college. I don't need to be in D1. I don't need to be, beyond where I'm at. Sometimes people want to be there so fast. Just be where you are and give everything there to get a little better. And for me, that was just like one thing at a time. How do I get a little better nutrition? Who can I ask that's in diet? How can I get a little better mentally? What books could I read? I think that was the last one that I ended up doing, was the mind. And when I started studying that became the most important one and the biggest one. So if I was to give you one big tip, if you're a young player dreaming to go really far, or a young parent, is like, every single day, feed the mind, feed the body, and feed the spirit. So the mind is really, really powerful and really important.
How about that? Well, Hunter, thank you so very much for the time. We appreciate you being here. The original Hooks hero, World Series champion, Mr. Hunter Pence. Hunter, thank you very much. Let's hear it for Hunter.